I'm getting in on YouTube now. Also, we are live on YouTube and LinkedIn. And today we're
Yeah,
gonna have a special guest. First of all, welcome everyone to the Flow States Café. I'm Giselle's follower. Oh no, I'm Giselle Queiroz. I'm with Claudia's follower. And we have a special guest today, Bjorn. Welcome, Bjorn.
welcome
Thank you very
Bjorn.
much, for having me. I haven't used this kind of setup yet, like LinkedIn audio, so that's kind of new for me. But I'm excited. I see a lot of people already jumping in. Jakob,
Yeah,
Sharon, Maria, Arpit, nice. So yeah, looking
yeah,
forward
yeah,
to
yeah.
the next half an hour, 45 minutes. I don't know how long it takes, but
So cool.
let's
Yeah,
go.
well, just to let people know, we're doing this on a weekly basis, every Friday, and we bring some topics that we explore throughout our work. We work with this quantum technique that reprograms the mind and help us on everything, like to improve our life and performance. And well, I met Bjorn here in Barcelona, and I think his work was super interesting because he's specialized on sleeping, and
Hmm.
I asked him to join. So let's go.
Yes,
So
yes.
let's introduce. Do you want to introduce yourself, Bjorn,
Yeah,
and your
sure.
work and why you
Mm,
got into this type of work? Like talk about sleeping and how to
mhm,
improve our sleeping
mhm.
and why. Introduce yourself and tell us why you're doing that, please,
Sure. Yeah, thank you.
for our
I
audience.
try to keep myself short, but I would start like in my youth. I played football for like 20 years on a competitive level, 10 or 15 years. And the older I got, the more my recovery got relevant because it takes also more time when you get older, right, to recover from strain, especially physical strain. And so what I've did, like I would say 10 years ago, I started like getting deeper into this recovery topic. I started with my nutrition, trying stuff out. I also got deeper into biohacking. I don't know if that's a word for you, biohacking, basically about like figuring out how your body works and then being able to kind of
Yes.
adapt and improve your body's abilities by yourself without a doctor or anyone else. So this got me quite fascinated and spent a couple of years in that area. And what I've realized is that I tended to be the guy who was training too much and
Mm,
overtraining. And once I started spending more time on my recovery, which basically includes the right nutrition, I was also able to better manage stress since I'm also working as you guys, also mental stress, of course, not only physical stress coming from my sports activities. And the last point was sleep. And what I figured out in the last, I would say, 2, 3, 4, 5 years is that actually sleep is the most important pillar for me when it comes to recovery because sleep is influencing everything else you're doing throughout your day, and also what you're doing throughout your day is influencing sleep. So the funny, or I would say maybe also a sad thing yet, or still, is that most people actually neglect sleep. And that's why I also decided to change that for the better and bring more awareness to my most favorite topic, which is sleep, which seems to be a little bit boring potentially when people hear it. But sleep is pretty exciting. So you don't just like close your eyes and wake up in the morning and be either groggy or more energized. Um, so yeah, that's why I decided to dig deeper into that topic. Did some certificates into that direction to also get a better knowledge around sleep, because sleep is pretty, yeah, as said, complex and um, very interesting at the same time. So that's the main reason why I am now here and call myself a performance and sleep coach, focusing on everyday athletes, but also on pro athletes to improve their recovery. We already talked about it, because like you can train a lot, but if the recovery is not on point, you will never reach peak performance, because
Yeah.
10% of your day, like 24 hours, is actually spent on the training court, like 2 hours, 3 hours max, or maybe sometimes more, but on average. And then anything else, what happens after and before your training or workout, is actually recovery. And for me, recovery is not just recovery. Recovery is a lifestyle. And that's why I find it also very, very interesting, because I love to optimize my daily habits, my day itself, to have energy and be able to perform like I want to, and also that my body is able to do everything I want it to do. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
Nice.
It was a really good introduction, wasn't it? Um, all
Actually,
right. Well,
you
I
got
guess,
deeper. You got deeper. I was
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
ask.
yeah. Already. Beautiful.
Yes. Yeah, because
All
you're gonna
right.
ask why sleep is the most important thing. Do you
Yeah.
understood, like about, you say, recovery, stress management, and you were saying that the sleep is the most important thing. And why?
Mhm.
Oh
What
yeah, you
happens
already
when we
said,
sleep,
yeah, but
actually?
tell us a little bit more.
Yes.
What happens?
Why? So, also said earlier, um, sleep influences everything you do throughout your day. So sleep has influence on your mind, on your body, on your mood, on your decision making throughout the day, on your capacity to learn new things, on your memory, on your emotions, on your concentration. So it actually influences everything. And for me personally, the fundament to wake up energized, or being or feeling energized in the morning, is quite a nice feeling, right? And not too many people, or a lot of people, don't have this kind of feeling to wake up energized, like when you open your eyes and you feel like ready to go. Most people actually wake up with an alarm clock. That's something I find really crazy in the meantime, because in the last 2 years, I think I haven't used any alarm clock, which makes life much, much easier, and also um, way more natural way to wake up, actually, to start into the day, other than getting woken up by an alarm clock, which makes you already get into like this fight or flight mode and stress. So yeah, long story short, I mean, you can check it yourself, right? If you have slept poorly, maybe you went out on the weekends, maybe got drunk, maybe not, but you only slept like 3-4 hours, and then you wake up in the morning, and then you say, okay, because I slept badly, I try to eat healthy at least today, or spend some more time on my recovery. And yes, you can do that, but based on my personal experience and also with my clients, it's just very, very difficult to catch up on a poor night's sleep with other recovery strategies, which is like nutrition, which is like ice bathing or sauna or massage or anything like that. That's why, for me personally, sleep is the kind of fundamental core of everything else. And yeah, I can also maybe share one or two studies when it comes to sleep and what kind of impact it has actually on, for example, your nutrition. So, or maybe start with the other
Right.
one first, the
The
brain.
emotions. I don't know. Sorry, you start.
Yeah, there's actually a nice little study done by Whoop. Do you know Whoop? It's like a bracelet you wear to track your sleep and your performance. It's an American brand, pretty famous. I don't know if you're aware, but it's kind of similar like an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
They came out, or they've done, or they did a study where they found out that their members, actually, so the users, they slept, or if they slept not enough, in a way that 45 minutes of sleep deprivation already meant a up to 10% decrease in your emotional performance, which means worse decision making, which means poorer concentration, which means also you're more emotionally affected by things happening around you. So it's harder for you to maintain your Zen mode in that sense. So this is one study, and the next thing was they figured out that on average, people using that kind of bracelet, which I think are a couple of 100,000 in the meantime, minimum, active on a daily basis, they were underslept by 2 hours per night. So if you, for example, if the bracelet tells you need to have like 8.5 hours of sleep, people on average only sleep 6.5 hours. So they are 2 hours, collecting 2 hours of sleep debt, so-called. And what that means is 45 minutes was related to a minus 10% decrease in mental performance. So if you kind of buck that up to 2 hours, it's around 20 to 30% decrease in mental performance. And what's also interesting is what they found is that people tend to be more egoistic when they are sleep deprived. I think I also feel that sometimes. So you are very focused on yourself because you're not yourself, literally, when you're sleep deprived, when you haven't slept enough. You feel groggy and you feel, very like
Tired.
easily tired, of
Yeah,
course.
tired.
And then you really focus on trying to get through the day, right? And hopefully no one is kind of coming to you and asking you some stuff to do on top of your anyways 15 to-dos you have to do. So that's very interesting. And also, especially on a leadership level, they found out that sleep is the most relevant element when it comes to being a good leader or like an empathetic leader. So people who were like in a meeting with sleep deprived leaders, they didn't feel the safe space, so to say. They didn't feel that they can be honest with the boss, with the leader. They were rather like, okay, if I now share my truth or maybe some critical feedback, then my boss maybe freaks out, for example. So this is also something I found really interesting. It not only influences your mood, but it also gives kind of a feeling, a very, very like different feeling to your colleagues, for example, at work.
Yeah.
So the way you show up at work is actually decided at night. And that's why sleep is, amongst others, very important. Another interesting study is that they were like, I think it was a study about 2 weeks, 10 male participants, 25 years old. They got sleep deprived by 3 hours. So they slept 1 week for 8 hours, the other week for 5.5 hours. And the group then experienced that their testosterone, I think that's the right pronunciation, got down by 10 to 15% within a week. So the usual decrease in testosterone in a healthy male is actually 1 to 2% per year. And just by being sleep deprived, they actually reduced, or they actually aged 10 to 15 years just within a week. So that's also a very impactful study, in my opinion, on your testosterone level, which is the most important hormone for especially men, right? And also for performance, very, very important. It's relevant for your energy levels, for your strength, for your endurance, for your also ability to recover from injuries, but also in general from strain throughout the day. So that's also something I found really, really interesting. And I also
I have a question. Do you think if lots of people are talking about this to clean your mind, like before everyone's using, like cell phones and computers, and we've been hearing that you should stop seeing like blue lights, like these blue lights at least an hour before you go to sleep. And what do you think about it? Is an hour or more or less?
Well,
is enough?
Giselle is kind of introducing actually the topic that I wanted to bring. So it's actually light. I wanted to talk about light. I wanted to ask him to explain more about light, because
we can follow up on
We
light.
talked
It's a
about
very
this
interesting
last
topic.
time,
Yeah.
but we have an expert here, so.
But you can say, you can tell, like, maybe it's this question that's connected to mine.
Yeah.
What do you wanna, Claudia?
So basically, what you were saying with an hour, yes, that would be amazing. But it's very difficult for a lot of people, including myself. I'm also just a human being, and we all have,
Yeah.
unfortunately, more or less this kind of addiction to this little phone. So the best case scenario is 1 hour no screens before sleep. That's the best case scenario. But since we are living in a real life scenario, you can adapt that slightly, right? So what I always recommend to use is a blue light blocker glasses, which kind of stops the blue light getting into your eyes in the evening, because what's happening is that blue light is actually something which is given during the day, right? So what your body thinks is that it's daytime when you're kind of triggering your eyes with blue light coming from your phone screen or your laptop screen. It's the same. Also TV screen. The better or the farther you are away from the TV screen, the better, because the impact is less, so to say. But basically, if someone like finishes his or her day like with the last view or touch on the phone and then start sleeping, I try to start at least with 5 minutes in between, so to say, like starting very small, not telling the person like, okay, we need to cut this like 1 hour or nothing. I try to start really small, like 5 minutes, and then build upon that. And there's also one more element people actually often neglect when they use their phone. It's not only the blue light, but also like the thing you're doing on Instagram, like the scrolling, right? It always gives you this dopamine spike with every new reel coming in, adrenaline, and so on and so forth. So your body actually it should kind of calm down, right? Relax before sleep, activate this parasympathetic nervous system. But what happens is actually you get into this sympathetic nervous system. So this is also something which I find very relevant and important to consider when using your phone. It's not only about the blue light, but also this element of scrolling, especially on Instagram, social media in general. Or also if you're like texting with a friend on WhatsApp and it's a very like intense discussion, for example, which gives you also like this kind of adrenaline cortisol rush. It's very kind of controversial to what actually should happen, which is relaxing and calming your mind. So yeah.
Beautiful. So now we've talked about the blue light, and can we talk about the sun? Tell us more.
Yeah, blue light. I call it like this, or describe it like this. It's a blessing and a curse, right? It's a blessing in the morning and a curse in the evening. What do I mean by that? So a good night's sleep starts in the morning, actually. Sounds weird, but it's like that. And what I mean by that is the first thing, or let's say like within the first hour, you should try to get sunlight in your eyes, or daylight, however you want to call it. Because what does it do? It gives the sign to your body the day is starting, right? That's the first thing. And what's happening behind that or in your body is especially related to your hormone system. So what does sunlight or daylight do? It actually supports the release of cortisol, which is actually in the morning, like first 2 hours after awakening, the cortisol level is highest, or should be highest, when it's a healthy human being. And the daylight supports this kind of rise in cortisol, and cortisol leads to this feeling awaken, right? So you're really feeling energized and ready to go. The second point is serotonin, our good feel or feel good hormone, is also supported, like the production and the release, by the sunlight. And the third and last one is melatonin. Melatonin is actually our sleep hormone, right? So we need melatonin in order to fall asleep and also stay asleep at night. But what it is doing is like it's kind of the anchor in the morning, so that the body knows, okay, now it's daytime, and then usually 15 to 16 hours, our body is pretty clever and smart. In 15 to 16 hours from now, I will start producing melatonin again. So it's kind of setting the onset time of melatonin. That's why it's
Yeah.
also important. That's probably the most important thing to consider when someone asks me what shall I do when to improve my sleep. It's very individual, right? But there are a few like generally working points, and the first and most important is consistency, because your body loves consistency, and especially when it comes to your hormones. So being able to wake up more or less at the same time and also go to bed at the same time, it's plus minus an hour. The closer the better, but plus minus an hour is something you should strive for, which makes it much easier to fall asleep, to sleep through, and then also wake up energized and ready for the day.
Beautiful,
Nice.
beautiful. And so what about because the sun literally recharges our body, right? So what about sunglasses? What do you think?
It's funny. I'm a guy who doesn't wear sunglasses at all, actually. Sometimes I do when I just like lay on the beach and it's too bright, but usually I never wear sunglasses. And in the meantime, when I walk, like when I do my morning walks on the beach or next to the beach, right, and I see these people walking with their sunglasses on, I'm always like, guys, just put them off, because then you would really, really get all the nice benefits of sunlight. And that's something I'm really like about to kind of tell them every time when I pass by someone wearing a sunglass or their sunglasses. So yeah, you shouldn't wear sunglasses, because that diminishes literally this whole effect. Like glasses are fine, and also contacts are fine, contact lenses. But sunglasses, I would highly avoid.
And I think it's a matter. Sorry, I think it's a matter of also getting used to it, because for example, when I play beach volleyball, everybody uses sunglasses. I don't.
That's great.
But I got used to it, and so it's just a matter of getting used to it. Sometimes we're very comfortable with that.
I mean, yeah, it's what you said.
And also, there are some people when I was that has like I've been hearing this many times. People who has like blue eyes, and when they are in the sun, they feel that's like too much for them. I've been hearing this for like many people, actually. So
yeah, I
do you
think
it's a matter of get used to it, or it's a matter of like of the amount of melanin they have in the eyes?
I think it makes it a little
like
bit more
skin,
difficult
right?
for these people, because it's about I think the reflection of the sun, which makes it a little bit brighter. But yeah, as you said, I think it's a matter of getting used to it. Of course, if you like take off your sunglasses like when the sun is highest and brightest during the day, maybe that shouldn't be the first step, but maybe you should go outside in the morning when the sun is not like fully out, so to say, and slowly but surely get used to the sunlight. But I think in the long term, you should really try to, you can use your sunglasses, of course. I'm not telling you shouldn't at all, especially also when you have like a medical condition or something. That's important to mention. But basically, the more sunlight you can catch throughout the day, the better your sleep gets in the evening. It's just, or at night, it's just that simple. Because what's happening with the sunlight is the serotonin production, and you feel better throughout the day. I think that's very
Totally.
very common sense. And you need serotonin actually in order to produce melatonin. So that's why it's very helpful to get the sunlight in so that your serotonin production is triggered. And the more serotonin you have, the better, because then it also gets easier in the evening or at night to release this melatonin, sleep hormone.
We have someone that raised their hands. We're gonna
Yes, I
leave
just
some
saw them.
Q&A in a few minutes when we finish this little interview. Yes. And so something else I wanted to ask you. So we've seen sunglasses, we've seen the sun. Now something I use a lot with my clients that I'm insisting more and more is grounding, and I know you're aware of this too. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this? If
Yeah,
grounding improves our sleeping, right? Because it does,
yeah,
to my
yeah,
experience.
sure. I've actually started doing grounding, or actually experienced that for the first time, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It's also some kind of biohacking stuff. So biohackers do grounding. It's the most natural thing actually you can do. Just get in touch with Earth. And I'm also always wondering why people walk on the beach with their shoes on, but that's another story.
Crazy.
And then they freak out when they get wet because they were too close to the water. But yeah, that's another story. Anyways, coming back to grounding, it's a great tool for recovery for sure. Like what it does is actually it releases or relieves stress, right? It declutters blood, so it makes the blood flow going, or like how should I put that? Not faster, but it ensures that the blood flow is going as it is meant to be. And in
The blood
general, like
gets more thin, the blood, like
more,
they flow more because they get more thin, the blood,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
start to flow.
Yeah, better. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And of course, the better the blood flows, the better the recovery as well, because waste products can get out of your body faster, and also the nutrients you put into your body get faster where they belong to, like in your muscles, for example. So yes, I would totally recommend doing that, and especially before you sleep, right? It's a great element to calm your nervous system down, to release some stress of the day. I think 10 to 20 minutes is already fine. Of course, the more the better. But yeah, I'm very honest. Like I'm not using it on a daily basis. It's also pretty difficult, especially when you're living in the city. I'm very blessed that I live next to the beach. Nevertheless, again, it's just a habit you need to set up and create. Whenever I think it feels good, also like to combine it with a session at the beach, for example, with a workout. I'm also doing it right after my workout, and sometimes during my evening walks, I turn off my shoes or take off my shoes, and then just step a little bit into the sand. But you can also do it like on the grass, right? Wherever you
Yeah.
have the closest connection to Earth. In the forest, if you're able to, or if you're living next to a forest, it's beautiful to just like walk barefoot. It's not also like this grounding effect, but also the feeling of walking barefoot. It's
Yeah,
really like special.
it's really, yeah, it's very special, right? You can feel it instantly.
Actually, it's
Wow,
very
beautiful.
normal,
All
but
right.
we made it special because we are wearing shoes all the time.
Yeah, totally. I've seen some companies are releasing some shoes like they're like grounded. Apparently, I don't know how that works. I'm still curious. I will have to investigate a bit more. But yes, that was awesome. I think. All right.
Yes.
Do we want to open for Q&A?
Yes, I think for today we had a lot of information. We can open the
Yeah,
mic, and if someone wants to make a question here on LinkedIn, we can open. Is he still
yeah.
there
Let's see. The
or
person that
no?
raised his hands actually left before, so I don't know.
Mm,
But let's see if someone else wants to ask questions. I think it was really, really cool. Very interesting, very interesting. And so let's say quickly, like to um, in a nutshell, what would you suggest, like 3 things you would suggest to improve our sleeping, even if it's repeating what we said, or just for people that are just coming now?
I think the connection was a little bit weak, at least on my end, so I didn't
Ah,
fully understand your question. Did you ask what I would recommend
yes.
to do in order
So
to
Mhm.
improve sleep? Or
Three
to improve
things.
our sleeping, yes, even if it's just repeating what we said, because new people are coming. So
yeah, sure.
very quickly.
We actually touched upon most of it already. So the first thing is consistency. Try to get
Mm,
to bed within an hour every day, also on the weekend. That's very important. And if you want to stay up longer on the weekend, that's fine. I mean, if you're on a social event or something, then not try to sleep in, but try to get up at the same time as you get up during the week. It might be hard at the beginning, but then try to kind of catch up on your missed out sleep during night with a nap during the day, for example. That's a whole another interesting area, napping. But so consistency, one
mm,
hour plus minus in the morning and in the evening. That's the first thing because your body loves consistency. And the second thing is light. So use light to your advantage. Get out in the morning, see sunlight as early as possible. On a sunny day like today in Barcelona, 10-15 minutes are totally enough. On a more cloudy
yeah.
day in winter, especially, it's better to go a little bit longer outside, like 30 minutes, because it just takes a little bit
Mm,
more time to kind of activate or initiate all the processes in the body. And the third and last one is we didn't touch upon that, but caffeine. So pay attention to your
ah.
coffee
The
consumption.
caffeine is.
Um, I know that
Great
a lot
topic.
of people, or let's put it this way, I know that I am one of the few guys who are not into coffee, and I know that there are many more people out there who love coffee, and I don't want to tell you that you should stop drinking coffee, but pay attention to 2 things. The first is how much you consume throughout the day, and the second one is when you consume coffee. So 2 things when it comes to when. The first coffee shouldn't be like the first thing you do in the morning. Wait like around 1.5 hours, 2 hours after your awakening, because the body should be able to kind of figure out the first 1.5, 2 hours by itself through cortisol, especially cortisol release. If you drink caffeine in the morning, you kind of interfere with this cortisol, natural cortisol production. And it also increases the probability or likelihood that you have like this midday deep or midday groggy feeling after lunch, like at 2, 3, 4. Because what caffeine does is, maybe some final words on caffeine. Caffeine or how do you call it? Caffeine, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Actually blocks the same receptors than um, our hormone called adenosine. Have you heard of adenosine?
No.
No.
Doesn't matter. It's actually in easier words or simple words, it's the hormone that makes you feel sleepy. And the
Mm,
longer the day, the higher the
what's
adenosine.
adenosine?
Adenosine, yeah. The higher the adenosine amount in your body is. And what caffeine does, it actually it's like a parking lot, and either the adenosine molecule enters the receptor or the caffeine enters the receptor. If your caffeine enters the receptor, there's no space left, right? So the parking lot is full. So adenosine is not able to kind of connect to the receptor. And what does it mean for you? Because of the full parking lot, which is covered by the caffeine, you're not getting more sleepy. That's the effect of caffeine.
Oh
But
my gosh, that's a
the,
good
the
one.
thing is, in the background, your body produces the adenosine, no matter if there's caffeine at the receptor or not. And then once the caffeine effect gets lower and lower and lower, so you metabolize the caffeine, all of the build up adenosine in the background gets released at the same time, and that's when you have this caffeine shock and you feel like crap at some point of the day. And that's why
Wow.
you should avoid having coffee in the morning too early, because it blocks these adenosine receptors. And the second thing is, try to stop drinking coffee. I'm very strict now at 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. Sorry, 12 p.m.
Yeah.
So that's the best case scenario. Also depends on when you're going to bed. Usually half-life of caffeine is like 8 hours. So if you drink a cup of coffee, half of the cup of coffee is metabolized after 8 hours. So you still have half a cup of coffee in your blood 8 hours later, which means when you have your last coffee at 6 p.m., you still have half a cup of your coffee 8 hours later in your system, which means 2 a.m. And it really, really influences your sleep, and not in a positive, but in a negative way, because caffeine is rising or like pushing you, right? And that's anything we don't need at all when it comes to sleep. So yeah, that's the caffeine part. And that's, I think, the three things.
Claudia, your audio on YouTube is muted.
That's why I can hear her perfectly now.
Here in the...
Oh, yeah.
Let me check. Ativação. Não é possível. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, now.
So
Now I hear you.
I was saying, yeah, maybe people are probably taking notes. Well, this was really good. I think we are done, right?
Yes.
And well, if anybody
It was
wants
amazing. I love it. Like,
Yeah, it was
gives
really
a lot of awareness. I think the coffee thing was really, really important. I like this technical information about how the body works and how the body absorb and all these receptors and everything, how it affects our sleep. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
so much for
Amazing.
coming and explaining
you.
all this. So if anybody wants to get in touch with you, they can just reach you on LinkedIn, I guess, right?
Happy to
Yeah,
do so, yeah.
great.
I mean, I
Nice,
love
nice.
questions around sleep and every other area of health. So feel free to reach out, get in touch with me, connect with me. And then I'm more than happy to answer all of the questions and also get to know you guys and your untapped potentials you currently have, where we could touch upon.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well,
Bjorn.
actually, right at we're here. I want to remind you guys that are listening that next week I'm gonna have an event. It's an online event about mental and energetic reprogramming for high performance. So whoever wants to join, you can just reach out. My event is posted on LinkedIn in my feed, so just feel free to come. That's it. Do you,
what time is going to be the event, Claudia?
it will be on the 15th and 16th. So I think it's Wednesday and Thursday, if I'm not wrong, and it's going to be at 3 p.m. Central European time,
Perfect.
which is going to be the morning East time zone. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bjorn. It was a pleasure to have you here today.
I have to thank you guys for inviting me, being part of that Flow State Café. I think it's a great idea.
I think we're gonna have to rethink about this.
But yeah, maybe you.
He's a decaffeine.
I mean, 2 o'clock is still fine, I would say.
Okay.
But generally speaking, yeah, it's Maybe you move it a little bit earlier, or you tell
Oh
people
my
they
gosh.
shouldn't have coffee. Yeah.
All
Yes,
right.
this is the Flow Stage Cafe, but that doesn't mean you should drink a coffee right now.
I was
Yeah.
drinking a green tea actually, by the way. So
I
yes,
was drinking water here.
still have caffeine, but less. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. See you next Friday, and thank you, Björn, for joining us today.
Yes. Enjoy your
Thank
weekend,
you.
guys.
Thank you,
Bye
everyone.
Thank
bye.
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.